Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School. I am getting ready to head to Philadelphia for the next step of our Black Economic Empowerment Tour. After Philadelphia, we're going to have Dallas, Texas coming up on the 12th, and then Houston and Austin and New Orleans and Las Vegas, and New York City. So you can go to the drboycewatkinstour.com to find out more. That's the drboycewatkinstour.com to find out more about what's going on. We're going to do a whole lot of stuff in New York City. In fact, I actually just heard from Charlemagne the other day, Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast Club. And, I was going to reach out to him and let him know I was coming to the city and see if I could stop through the show because I love the show. I mean, what they do is pretty impressive, and he reached out to me, and I respected that. I appreciated that. He reached out because he heard I was coming to town, and so we're gonna do an interview. Hopefully it'll be popping. I'll make sure I bring some good information, and we're gonna have a hell of a time. I respect the Breakfast Club because the Breakfast Club is it's a show that obviously they have a certain kind of audience and sort of subject matter they have to deal with, right? They kind of deal with whatever's happening in the world of entertainment and hip hop. But what I like about the Breakfast Club, and I don't know exactly how the creative freedom is structured in the Breakfast Club, but what I really like is the fact that they always make room for the things that people need, not just what people want. Sure, you got all the craziness and the gossip and the ratchet. I mean, that's everywhere, right? But they also bring in the intelligent. They didn't have to bring on, Dr. Umar Johnson. They didn't have to bring on Tariq Nasheed. They didn't have to bring on Minister Louis Farrakhan. They didn't have to bring on me. Even Willie D, after Willie D from the Ghetto Boys, who I heard from Willie D this week. He made a song about Conan, and I was actually applauding his song. And I know it's a touchy phrase. I know that you got to be careful about calling people coons, but some of the stuff that we see on TV is Conan. These people propped up by these white corporations just to destroy black people. I mean, it's conery. It's silly. And so when they brought Willie D on after he made that song, I thought that was cool. I just really feel like there's a conscientious undertone to all the fun. And this is something I've always believed, that it's okay to have fun. A lot of people expect me to be serious 100% of the time, all the time, and I'm just not that guy. I don't think life is fun when you're serious all the time, but you have to be serious at least some of the time. You got to have balance. That's the key, moderation. So for example, when people say, well, Dr. Boyce, I know you don't like it when people go buy Air Jordans. I say, well, really, if somebody wants to buy a pair of Jordans, who am I to say they can't do it? I've wasted money. I do it all the time. The key is you got to have balance. So if you go buy a pair of Nike sneakers, go buy you some Nike stock to go with it. Buy at least as much Nike stock to go with your Nike sneakers, so that as you're giving money away to Nike, you're also making money with Nike. You understand? You shouldn't just be contributing to the American dream and getting nothing back. You should be absorbing from the American dream too. You want to have both worlds. You don't want to just sort of be on the consumption side and not the production side. And that's the key idea. It's not about being stoic with your money and being a miser and all this other stuff. You don't have to do all that. In fact, when I talk about NBA players going broke, I don't think every NBA player needs to save 90% of his salary. Just save 10%. Just invest 15, 20%. You still got $5-6 million a year to throw away if you want to. I mean, if that's what you choose to do, I'm not going to judge that. Just do something in moderation so you also take care of your family too. So anyway, one thing I'll also say about the Breakfast Club that I appreciate is Charlemagne. I had to give him props. I mean, I know Charlemagne is a controversial character. I mean, when I talk to Damon Dash, Damon Dash and I teach our class at intelligentbossmoves.com. We teach our class on business, and I respect Dame immensely. I've worked very close with him for about a little over a year now, and he's just shown a very consistent honorability that I respect in business. He also is ready to put his money where his mouth is when it comes to major investment projects. For example, myself and Kanye West have the film Too Honorable coming out, where I saw Dame put hundreds of thousands of dollars into this movie to get it made. And so, when people say that he's broke, I don't really see broke. I see a guy who's really investing very, very heavily in his projects, and he's got millions of dollars worth of assets that are actually going to generate revenue for him for a long time, like Rachel Roy, things like that. But anyway, when Damon and I talk, as you see, I'll go out to Hollywood and stuff, and we're also working on our the pilot for that show Steel Justice. Damon's going to be in it. Also, I'm going to be in it. I got a small role. I'm not a real actor. Mekhi Phifer, Malik Yoba, guys like that. But anyway, when Damon and I are working together, I just see something about his style, and that's just honorable. We really connect actually as black men and as fathers and as businessmen. That's where we find our bond. It doesn't matter that I'm a scholar and he learned, in a different style. I just have a lot of respect for that. But the funny thing is that when David and I talk about Charlemagne, it's not usually a good conversation. I think there's like a little rivalry there. But the thing I tell him is, I say, look, I can't not show respect for Charlemagne for the fact that he too has been very honorable over the years that I've known him. That brother, I knew him back. I met him in '06, back when he was on the Wendy Williams show. And at that time, nobody knew who I was. Wendy invited me on, and to this day, I say that Wendy was actually the best. Wendy and Charlemagne together actually were the best radio show hosting team I've ever worked with, and the interviews were always very professional. Wendy would just handle them really, really well. And I remember I met Charlemagne. I gave him a copy of my book, "What If George Bush Were a Black Man?" And he said, "I'm gonna read your book." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, okay." Honestly, when people say that, I'm like, yeah, they ain't gonna have time to read it. When I came back, he had read the book. I mean, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And here's the thing. So I was on the Wendy Williams show maybe 6 times over the years, and every interview was always perfect. Every interview was always really good, and I was always appreciative that they invited me back on. And the interesting thing I can say, though, is through the years, after Wendy went to television, I had one last interview like the day before Wendy went to television, and she and I talked for like an hour. The best, when you talk to people like that, the best conversations are usually during the commercial breaks. That's when you get to hear their perspective and you learn a lot about the industry, stuff like that. Wendy wasn't successful. She's not successful because she's dumb. She's very, very, very smart. Anyway, I said my goodbyes to her and good luck. And I didn't know how the TV thing would work out. But since she's gone to TV, I haven't heard from Wendy. I haven't talked to her. And it's okay. I'm not offended by it. As you know, I don't care that much about mainstream media. Also, I know that she's doing more stuff for white folks now. Like, she's out in that world. And that's not really a world I choose to really operate in on a heavy basis, because white people tend to be very judgmental of black people when we're trying to empower other black people. They kind of define black love as being racist, and I really don't want to hear all that. I don't need all that in my inbox. I get enough emails from a lot of black people that I want to hear from. I don't want to get I don't want to be back like it was when I was on Fox News back in the day, when I would get death threats and well, what's wrong with you? You're racist, and why do you say these things? I'm not going to try to explain it to you. Seriously, I'm not that guy. I understand, that she's in that other world, and I don't really need to be in that other world. But I can say that, I haven't heard a thing from Wendy since that time. No disrespect about it, but it's true. Charlemagne was the one who actually circled back. When Charlemagne left radio, I think I'm not sure, but I think there were some bumps in the road with the show he was on in Philly, and then he went to South Carolina, and he had a public access radio show. And I remember he would call me like once a week to be on the show. And honestly, I didn't, it's like I was so busy, but I was like, what, this brother was very loyal to me back when he was on the Wendy Williams show. So I'm going to show support to his show in South Carolina, even though I don't think the listenership was that big. I just think he loved radio, and I think he was just really good at it. And so I did the interviews. And so later on, I see he's doing this Breakfast Club thing, and I'm like, oh, cool. He got another gig in New York City. And then slowly I'm seeing the Breakfast Club doing this up. And I'm like, wow. And I'm watching it from a distance. I didn't reach out. I just sort of kept doing my thing. And lo and behold, he reached back out again. And he remembered our conversations from years earlier. To this day, there's always respect. Then the respect wouldn't go away even if he asked me a controversial question, or even if he criticized me. That's one thing I think we got to learn in the black community, is that just because somebody critiques something you said or something you did, that doesn't mean they hate you. It doesn't mean it has to be World War III. It doesn't have to be the end of the relationship. It just means, okay, we might have to fight it out. We might have to disagree, and that's okay. Friends can disagree with each other. So anyway, I predicate that by saying that, my respect that I have for the way he's conducted his career is not predicated on me not being criticized for anything, because sometimes I do things that might be worthy of criticism. But long story short, I could just say that, I love the Breakfast Club. I mean, when I talk to Charlemagne and DJ Envy and Angela Yee, I just see intelligent people. I don't see ratchet. I don't see people who, will do anything for $1 or sell other people for $1. I see really intelligent black people who have not forgotten that they are black. And that's all I ask. That's all I want. I mean, you get so many really famous people that just lose it. They just lose it. They're like, anything black ain't worth the money in my pocket. I'm going to sell out every ounce of my blackness. I'm not going to acknowledge black people because black people ain't paying my bills. And I just think that's silly. I mean, you can't let a bunch of white people pay you money to go disgrace your own people, to make you look like a damn clown. You can't do that. You can't do that. So it's just about moderation, you know. So again, that's what I say. Again, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not saying the Breakfast Club is a perfect show or anything like that. But I can say that I appreciate the moderation. You know, I appreciate the fact that I can see. You know, I might see Young Thug on there one day, but I'm gonna see Farrakhan on there the next. And I like that because what you're seeing is you're seeing the black community coming together. And as much as I, you know, as Dame, you know, might have an issue with the Breakfast Club, which for legitimate reasons, whatever the case may be, he has to understand. I think he knows this, that he and I wouldn't even be friends if it wasn't for the Breakfast Club. That's what led us to know each other and to work together. And I'm appreciative of that. You know, and what other world can you imagine 20, 30 years ago where you had scholars and brothers from that space, from the hip hop space, coming together to educate black people? You don't see that. You know, so when Damon and I get together and we educate, we have over 100 something students in our class at intelligentbossmoves.com. And it's like, I'm like, wow, man, you know, this is what the black community is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a group of diverse individuals who all care about their people, who come together to fortify their community. That's what it's all about. So anyway, I'm about to get on out of here, guys. By the way, the tour, if you want to know more about the tour, visit the Dr. Boyce Watkins tour.com. You can follow the tour there. Also, we do have a wealth building program for children at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. And that's it. That's it. So we got a whole lot going on. I'm going to get on out of here. It's off to Philadelphia next. So if you're in Philly, I look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Talk to you soon. Peace.